Guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have a delicious pasta recipe for one, and the fun part is that we are making our own fresh homemade pasta with no fancy tools involved. All right, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire. Welcome, come on in, make yourselves comfortable. I do a lot of single serving recipes over here on this channel, so if you're someone that is often cooking for just yourself or you and one other person, make sure you hit subscribe because there's lots of good stuff here that you'll probably like. Today I am doing a lemon rosemary butter pasta. It's gonna be so delicious. I cannot wait to eat it for lunch. And of course, if you don't want to make your own pasta, you don't have to. I will be the first to admit that it is a totally extra thing to be out here making your own pasta, especially when pasta is such a budget-friendly ingredient. So you don't have to make your own pasta. This would be a great recipe to use with pasta you just buy at the store. So I'm starting out right there acknowledging that it is a little much to be out here making your own pasta. However, it's fun, and why not? I think that if you can have fun in the kitchen, you're a lot more likely to skip the drive-through and do something fun at home. So maybe I can inspire you to try making your own pasta. This is also a great recipe because it is just enough pasta for one meal. So if you're a person who's maybe shied away from trying making it yourself because you don't want a whole ton of fresh pasta, this is perfect. Also, you can really easily double the amount of ingredients that I'm talking about. If you want pasta for 2, if you want pasta for 4, just double it all. It's a very simple ratio, and I will leave all of the measurements in the description down below. And with that, let's get started on our fresh pasta dough for our rosemary lemon butter pasta. All right, our ingredients are very simple. We have flour, we have an egg, we have a lemon, I've got 3 tablespoons of butter, I've got rosemary, both dried and a nice fresh sprig from the garden. I also have some parsley, not from the garden. I have salt, pepper, we've got garlic, and that's it. So, the basic ratio for 1 serving of pasta: half a cup of flour and 1 egg. That's the basic thing you have to remember. So if you want pasta for 2, 1 cup, 2 eggs, and so on. Now, I decided to put some of my dried rosemary right into the pasta dough because I really want this to be artisanal and delicious. And the dried rosemary works way better than fresh rosemary. And it's also more affordable if you're going to the store to buy your rosemary to just get a little jar of it already dried. And I was really trying to stretch what I had left in this jar from last year's rosemary from the garden. I did manage to get a nice little teaspoon out of it though. And I just crumbled it up just a little bit so I didn't have any shards in there. But it was really nice and dry. And then I just did a teeny little sprinkle of sea salt. And you're going to take your fork and you're just going to start swirling that egg and slowly add the flour into it. Slowly. And sometimes this gets a little messy. Today, I feel like I really had it under control. I was pretty proud of myself. Now, after it starts to get a little bit, sticky, I get out my little bench scraper here. I'm a bread baker, so I do have these types of tools. If you don't have one of these, that's fine. Use your hands. It is not the end of the world to just smush it together with your fingers. I'm just starting with this because I have one. And then I move to my hands. And now remember, we're not baking bread here, so we don't need to knead this for 10 minutes or anything like that. We're just lightly kneading it until it gets pretty smooth. And this took probably 90 seconds, maybe, not a lot of time. You just want it to be a little springy when you push on it. You want to make sure that it's not super sticky. Add a little bit of flour if you need to, but you want it about that texture. And then you have to let it rest. Normally I would wrap it in plastic wrap, but I didn't have any plastic wrap for some reason, so I just threw it in a little baggie. You're going to wait half an hour for that. And while that's waiting, I decided to go ahead and juice half of this lemon just because when it comes time to cook, it's going to go really fast. Fresh pasta only takes a couple minutes, so I want to make sure that I'm ready to make my sauce. And I just used half a lemon. You could just use a bottle of lemon juice if you don't want to buy a lemon. That's totally fine. That will work as well. So after a half an hour, our little dough has rested. And now it's time to roll it out. Do I have a pasta press? Yes, I do. But I'm not using it today because I wanted to show you that you don't actually need one. You can just roll it nice and thin. It's not going to look like a professional store-bought pasta. It's going to be rustic. And that is part of its beauty. People are going to eat it and know that it's homemade. Well, I guess people aren't going to eat it. You're going to eat it if you're making this recipe because it is, in fact, pasta for one. But you could take a picture of it, put it on Instagram. Then everyone will know how you are amazing at making homemade rustic food. Anyway, I'm rolling it as thin as it will let me go. All right, I'm flouring it a bit, but not too much because you need it to be just a little tacky so it can help create that sort of tension on the surface, which will help it go a little bit thinner. And if you think that it's still a little thick, keep going. Just keep going as thin as you can get it. Because even though this looks like really paper thin, it will contract a little bit and it will be thick enough. And you see, I don't have a tape measure. I don't have a ruler. I don't have any fancy things. I have a pizza cutter and I'm eyeballing it. They're not perfect ribbons. Again, rustic pasta, you guys. And just trust me, they're going to look beautiful here. So I'm just cutting them in lines as straight as I can. I threw a little bit of flour on there. They were a little bit stuck, but that's okay. You just dust them with flour and they come right apart. And don't they look nice? Come on. I'm a pro. And you see how they're still a little bit thick, but not so thick that they'll be gummy at all. And I just put these into boiling water, and these are going to take like 3 minutes. So that means we really got to get going on our little sauce. Luckily, it's very simple. 3 tablespoons of salted butter that I'm melting, and I'm putting that fresh sprig of rosemary in there, and that's going to flavor our butter. We're doing just half a teaspoon of minced garlic, throwing in a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. We're going to stir this up. Some of that water is going to start to evaporate and the butter's going to get just a little bit thicker. Be careful not to burn it, but you could toast it if you really wanted to. And seriously, that's how long it took to make this pasta. It was so fast. And now I'm going to remove the sauce from the heat and add my lemon juice. Give it a little swirl. I did remove the rosemary as well. We just needed the essence of rosemary, not the whole sprig. And now we're going to toss our pretty little pasta in there. It was the perfect ratio. It covered quite nicely. There's just enough like ripple situation going on in the pasta that it did hold the sauce without it getting soggy. And then I'm going to top it with my fresh parsley. I've never grown parsley. I feel like I don't use it enough to justify growing it, but maybe I will. Sound off in the comments. Do you grow parsley? Should I plant it in the garden next year? Let me know. And I put the parsley on top because we love a little green pop. And then I thought, you know what? I am going to throw a little bit of parmesan on this. I did not include that in the initial ingredient list because this was an afterthought, but it really did elevate this dish. And this pasta was so good, so fresh. I felt like Martha Stewart. I felt like Meghan Markle. I am a goddess of the garden. Look at me. It was so good, you guys. You should try this. Alright, you guys, that's it for this video. I know, short and sweet, but it really is that easy to make your own pasta. So I hope I've inspired you. Obviously, you don't have to do exactly what I did. Just use my pasta as a blueprint for your own favorite flavors. Whatever you have growing in your garden, whatever you find on sale. Add some veggies, add some meat, I don't know, do whatever you want. I think that the add-ins to the actual pasta itself would be really fun to explore, adding purees in. I've like done a pumpkin one in the past where I've added pumpkin to the pasta itself, and that's really fun. So maybe you give that a go. Of course, come on back for more single serving recipes and other content. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!